pretty useful, pretty practical help that I have seen other people follow and I've advised people to follow, and it's worked out for them. It all boils down, I think, really, this process, as a trust exercise. People often think about the interviewers as the enemy, oh, we've got to beat this person. When in actuality, they're on your side. Talk to people, guys, because you're not alone going through this process. There's so many people that are experiencing the same thing that you are, and you can find a lot of solace in that community. And you never know if you're active in these places. Yes, guys, I hope we're doing good. So it's 2025 and the tech job market is kind of cooked right now, perhaps more so than it has ever been. I'm having a lot of conversations with a lot of different people from X, my colleagues, peers, people in Discord communities. And it seems like now more than ever, graduates and juniors are really struggling to find their first jobs. So we're gonna break down why that might be in this video, and also what you can do to help yourself and give yourself the best kind of chances. I've got some, I think, pretty useful, pretty practical help that I have seen other people follow and I've advised people to follow, and it's worked out for them. So let's just start with the context, right? Me personally, I've got around 4 to 5 years experience as a senior data engineer working at a record label. It's actually pretty similar to a startup. There's not enough money and there's not enough people to do everything. So you end up wearing a lot of hats. And that's also why I do a lot of full stack development for the company as well. That's my background. As I said, I know a lot of people in the industry, blah, blah, blah. We can talk about that later. So let's talk about the context and the history. I'm not sure if you've seen this graph yet. It kind of went a little bit viral on X the other day. These are tech-related postings between the years 2020 and 2024. I think this is posted by Indeed. As you can see, around 2022, there was this huge boom, right? It was a candidates market, meaning that it was kind of hard to find engineers. That meant that there were a lot more junior positions opening. And of course, that then trickled down, and you had a lot of people starting college, university to study CS because it was this, it's this career where you get a lot of money, you have good work-life balance, blah, blah. Today, well, it's not so much the case, as you can see with this fall off into the following years. It's important to think about this in terms of junior and kind of graduate positions, because these engineers that you hire, if you hire someone with very little or no experience, you're not trading, money for the person's output necessarily. They're a loss up front, right? You have to train and upskill this engineer to be able to contribute to the team properly. And in that way, it's an investment for the long run for this individual, and that can pay dividends. They can then go on to really understand the company, understand how you do things, and then end up leading their own teams. But it's an investment in the long run. However, if you fast forward and everyone gets laid off from their positions, as we can see in this other graph, in 2023, almost 430,000 people get laid off. What happens then is, now you've got a saturated market. You've got a lot of people. It flips around. You've now got a hiring market. You have a lot of people wanting jobs and not as many jobs. However, the people that are searching for those jobs, importantly, are now engineers that have got a little bit of experience behind them. They've been laid off, right? So they've got a little bit of experience. These people have probably, they might have families to feed, They're going to be taking the junior roles, guys. They're going to be like, okay, fine. I can't get the mid-senior position that I would like, but I'm going to take, 60, 80 grand if you're US salary, right? I'm going to take that over nothing right now. That means that then you got this trickle-down effect where the juniors are having a really hard time. You guys, maybe watching this, having a very hard time, because your job has been taken by the other big dogs. And so it goes round and round in a cycle, guys. And that's all well and good, right? Okay, so fine. You're in this position. It's not the best one, Sip my coffee, guys. what can you do about it, And I think at this point, it's helpful to step back a little bit and think about, well, what is an interview? What is this process that you're going through when someone wants to hire you? It all boils down, I think, really, this process as a trust exercise. And this is then why you have stuff like nepotism. This is why nepotism exists, why this is a thing. Because if you know someone, you can probably trust them a little bit more than you would a complete random stranger. Thinking from the company's position, when you're hiring someone, they're a risk, right? You don't know if this person is crazy. You don't know if they're going to be able to do the job. You don't know anything about them. So it's better to take educated risks, right? And that's what you do when you hire someone that you know for a referral. So what can you take away from that? Well, in this hiring process, the entire thing that you're doing, all you should be doing is making them trust you, right? You need to make the hiring manager, the hiring people, say, okay, yeah, I think I can trust this guy or girl to do the job that we're hiring them for. That's pretty much it, right? And the other flip side of that is that people often think about the interviewers as the enemy. Oh, we've got to beat this person. When in actuality, they're on your side. It might seem like this quite, you've got, A on one side and B on the other side. You're not against each other in this process. The person actually, believe it or not, wants you to be the best candidate that you can be, because then they can hire you and they can stop getting on random Zoom calls with 19-year-olds. So how can you do that, guys? Well, number one of the most important things is having proven experience doing the thing they're asking you to do, right? And that sounds kind of obvious. However, I think a lot of people, really don't process this fact that, on a job description, right, they're literally listing things, right? A job description is just a list of stuff that they want you to have done before, for the most part, right? There might be some optional things, there might be some, personality traits that they'd like you to have. But for the most part, right, it's just a list of things that they're hoping that you've done. So what can you do in this situation? Well, you can say, okay, I've got this list of stuff, a list of requirements, right, that they want from me. Well, I'll just, reflect this back at them in your CV, in your experience. They're literally telling you exactly what they want. So all you need to do is list it out on your CV and then talk to them about it in, putting the whole tech interview process aside, as in, like actual technical tests and stuff, put that aside. To get your foot in the door, you need to have shown or have said that you can do the things. And so that kind of, brings me on to the second point. Be a little bit realistic about this. Don't lie. If you have 1 year experience, don't try and go for the CTO position, right? Or, as well, if you have no experience at all, don't lie and say you worked at Google or something, right? Be realistic, but you can massage a little bit. You can, you know what I mean, guys. You can exaggerate, perhaps a bit of hyperbole, but don't completely lie, because it will be obvious when someone asks you about something that you can't actually do the thing you said you could do. And this gets us to this second point, right? This catch-22 situation that a lot of graduate and early people in the career find. If you don't have experience, how can you get it? And this is a tricky one. There's no easy way around this, right? There are a couple of options. There's 3 options, right? Number 1, just build it yourself. You really can do anything in 2 weeks. Yassine X meme, for those of you that know. Don't limit yourself. You know, if you're a highly capable individual, as I think a lot of you guys are, you really can learn anything in 2 weeks. You know, maybe you can't build the next, you know, whatever SaaS app, but you could give it a shot and you're going to learn a lot along the way. So just try building it yourself, guys. Try building, you know, if you've got a job description, for example, for a full stack, you know, mobile developer, and they're wanting you to use Flutter, blah, blah, whatever other tool, try and build an app in Flutter, guys. What's the worst that's going to happen? You know, or you might learn something. Well, it's fantastic. Great. Number 2, internships. It's not ideal, but I have seen people do unpaid work, unpaid internships, and then being given a offer at the end of it. You know, the morality of this, you know, unpaid work, you could, you know, whatever, guys. It might work for you. It might. And the number 3 that I don't see enough people really talking about, because it is a luxury, right? It's a luxury option. But for a lot of people, we do have this luxury. And it is a feasible thing to achieve, is a master's degree. In 2025, everyone, you know, all of your friends have degrees for the most part, right? It's now very similar to a high school diploma in that everyone kind of has a degree, right? So how do you stand out from the crowd? And again, this is coming with a little bit of privilege. You do need to be in a position where you are able to not only go to university, but also to be able to do a master's. This is a privileged thing, guys, but if you can do it, I really think this is a bit of a cheat code right now. I think a master's degree really is the new undergraduate degree, and it makes you stand out a lot from the crowd. I think in one part, to some degree, this can replace your first, you know, kind of 6 months to a year working at a full company. To some degree, I think, you know, it really helps you stand out. I think because in part it says, okay, this person, you know, has not just done the normal path; they've actually really pursued this thing. So this person clearly cares or gives a shit to some level to go and do the next thing, right? Number 2, right? How can you find your job? Number 2 is being likable. I think this is a huge one that people really overlook. When you work with people, you know, a huge part of any job is like I said, working with people, you know. When they're hiring you, they need to know that you're not going to be just a complete arsehole, right? They need to know that you're going to be able to work with this person. You're going to be speaking to them most of the day, right? So it's really important that you are normal. You're a likable, functioning person, right? And I know that a lot of developers struggle with this, yeah? But you got to put on your charm hats and charm your way, at least for a couple of interviews, guys. I remember when I interviewed for my first job as a data analyst, I actually had COVID at the time. So I was super out of it, right? And later on, you know, a couple months in, we were talking about the interview process at work, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, you really came across as a very mellow, very chill, easygoing guy. And this is because I was so out of it. I was just that meme, right? I was just a chill guy. I think that really helps. So what have we got so far? Proven experience doing the thing you're asking you to do. You got to be likable. Number 3, networking, guys. And this is a bit of a, you know, buzzword, but it really does help. And we'll break that down. So going to events, you know, that can be one of it. Going to conferences, asking your community, asking your network, right? Ask your granny, right? What's the worst that can happen? She might know someone. You don't know. You don't know until you've asked. And the third one is kind of, like community. Ask anyone and everyone. You'll be surprised at the reach of your network, you know? A friend of a friend, you know, you're only ever 7 steps removed from anyone else, right? And as you're building stuff, and you should be building this stuff in your, in your spare time, because you don't have a job, right? So you should be doing stuff anyway. As you're building stuff, you'll be able to show that you have this understanding of these technologies and development bits and pieces. So you'll be able to show, when you're in these communities, when you're networking, you'll be able to show that, yeah, you're actually building stuff, you're building cool things, and you have this understanding of tech. And that leads us on to this next point, which is that if you don't care about tech, or you're not genuinely interested in it, you only kind of want it for the money, or, just because you want to do it as a job, you're probably not going to make it. And that might sound harsh, but I think if you're just going through this whole degree, you're prompting your way, you're not actually learning anything, you're going to be overtaken by the people that actually care and do it day in and day out. And I know a lot of you guys are falling into that latter category. You do care because you're watching videos like this. And the flip side of that is that if you do care, I am confident that it will be okay. That comes across in an interview setting. You can always tell, when I've been in the position of interviewing, I can always tell that people actually care. You can always tell the difference between the people that are like, just kind of in this, or actually genuinely have a passion for it. You can see it come out. You can feel it in those conversations. And again, communities, it's tough finding that first job. It's very tough. So talk to people, guys. Get on X, get on Discord. Theo, Primogen, they've all got, really lovely, really welcoming, supportive communities. And X as well, just talk to people, guys, because you're not alone going through this process. There's so many people that are experiencing the same thing that you are, and you can find a lot of solace in that community. And you never know, if you're active in these places, someone might follow it and someone might hire you. You might get a job through interacting through these communities and networking through in that way. My fourth point, so we've got number 1, proven experience, being likable, networking, community. Number 4 is forget about FANG for now. Forget about working for these huge, giant corporate startups. Not necessarily startups. Forget about working for the big dogs. Go local, right? Get your first job at a smaller company, Try and aim for anything. I think the Primogen, I remember watching a video about him, and one of his first jobs was for this, really small company. And then from there, he then went on to work at Netflix. All it really takes is getting that first role. Once you're in one of these positions, you really can sidestep that into a much bigger opportunity. And I think people, they see this sort of tech bubble area, and they think, oh, okay, I can only apply for this certain set of roles, right? I've got to work at this huge company. There's a lot of companies out there, Look for the places that are smaller and more niche, and they're going to be, less competition for these jobs than if you were to apply for a developer job at Google, for example. And well, that's about it, guys. That kind of wraps up my my thoughts on this topic. Just to recap again, proven experience, make sure that you can do the thing that they're asking you to do. Be likable, be normal, and remember that the interviewer is on your side. Network, events, community, and be realistic with your goals. Maybe don't look at Google, look at your local, accounting company, or whatever that might be. So I hope this was a little bit helpful, and good luck out there, because it is tough, but you're going to make it. All right, guys, I'll see you later.